Ryder, welcome to Ryder Right Now Special Election Edition. We have everything you need to know about the upcoming elections. Welcome back. I'm your host, Gina Grasso. War veterans have different perspectives on the elections than most people. I took a look at their differing opinions on fellow veteran John McCain. Senator John McCain served as a naval aviator and fought during the Vietnam War. Altogether, McCain was a prisoner of war for 5.5 years, bringing home 17 awards and decorations upon leaving the military. 35 years later, this POW has been nominated for president. U.S. veterans seem to have mixed opinions upon electing their fellow officer.
I feel he would make a good president.
The man's a hypocrite, is what he is.
To me, he's the kind of man that keeps his hand on the trigger. You have somebody like that, like Eisenhower, a lot of people will think twice before even taking advantage of you, really.
He's the worst hypocrite because he is a former POW betraying his own POWs. John McCain knows that we left men behind.
During my sit-down with Buddy Macri, a U.S. Korean War veteran, he told me why he believes Obama will bring trouble to the United States if he is elected president.
You'd want somebody like McCain who knows what's going on. Obama don't really know about you got Putin in Russia, you got Chavez in Venezuela, you got Castro in Cuba. They all hate us, really. It would only be a minute to load up with missiles and shoot them right over here with no problem. You have somebody at the trigger over here, they're going to think twice. They might think they can run all over Obama. He's a good man, but he's not ready. He really is.
On the other hand, Jerry Kiley, another U.S. war veteran, told Ryder's WRRC John McCaffrey just the opposite.
I have never voted for a Democrat in 11 elections since starting to vote in 1964. I'm definitely not going to vote for McCain, and I would consider the Democratic nominee.
To see more information about how veterans view John McCain, there are two websites to check out: www.vietnamveteransagainstjohnmccain.com and vetsformccain.com. In addition to the national race, citizens will get to vote on representatives for the United States Congress. Garrett Williams attended a rally hosted by the University of Republicans on campus.
With the election day rapidly approaching, it is getting very difficult to decide on which candidate to vote for. This past Wednesday, the Ryder Republicans hosted a local campaign rally here on campus. At the rally, not only were the candidates looking for endorsement by the public, but they also tried to spread awareness about the upcoming election. During the rally, I spoke with a few candidates about what qualities to look for in deciding on who to vote for and the importance of students getting involved in politics.
One of the things that we've been running on, one of the biggest tenets that we've been running on is oversight, having some responsibility. Because if you don't have oversight, if you don't have an ability to take a look at what your elected officials are doing, then unfortunately there is a tendency for our elected officials to start doing things that they're not supposed to do.
Well, I think it's very important that college students get involved in politics. The decisions that politicians who are making today are going to affect the future for many years, and that's the future that today's college students are going to be living in.
I also spoke with the president of the College Republicans, Joshua Hersa, and Dean Campbell about their views on the election.
I really think it's good to get a chance to meet and to talk with these members, elected officials, and people running for office, because you need to get your voice heard. Now, whether you're a Republican, conservative Republican, or a liberal Democrat, it's important to go out there and voice your opinions, because otherwise they're gonna ignore us.
College students need to be involved. We know that traditionally college-age students don't turn out to vote in the numbers that compared to senior citizens or anything. And college students are giving up an important right that they're developing and they have, which is that right to to make choices and help be involved in the process.
This has been Garrett Williams for Ryder Right Now.
Look for information in your hometown about who is running in your district. Even as college students, current problems in the economy do affect us. Garrett Williams looked into each of these concerns.
With the economy on the brink of a recession and the scare of the current credit crisis, students are affected tremendously. Let's take an in-depth look at what's going on.
All right, up next, Peter Schiff is the author of Crash Proof, How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse. So, Peter, first off, I want you to respond to what the state senator had to say about maybe some federal money going to this problem. What do you think?
Well, I think that's just going to make the situation worse.
One of the biggest concerns that has been on everyone's mind is the current credit crisis. With expensive mortgages inflating every day, people are losing their homes. Banks are becoming more strict with their lending policies when applying for loan applications, making it even more difficult to receive financial support. But how does this affect the college students? I had the chance to speak with the director of One Stop, Drew Armando, about how Rider has been handling the crisis with student loans.
For the 08-09 academic year, there have been no changes that will be impacting students in terms of fall disbursements, spring disbursements, and all of the lenders have assured that students who have loans now will be receiving their spring disbursements exactly as they signed up for those loans.
Not only are students being affected by loans, but so is the current job market. The Director of Career Services, Joyce Tyler, spoke about a few tips in dealing with the current situation.
To network as much as possible with friends, relatives, neighbors, anybody that you run across, especially Rider alums.
Minimize what you believe you need and only borrow that amount. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, as always, it's important to maintain good credit history.
Be aware of what's available, what's hot, what's not. Try not to go after everything that comes along, and be persistent.
This has been Garrett Williams for Rider Right Now.
Pay attention to each candidate's stance on the economy crisis and their proposed solutions. Now, before you cast your vote on the polls, it's important to know why you should take part in the election. Barrett Thompson caught up with some of the people on campus to hear their opinions.
The presidential election is fast approaching, and Rider University has been encouraging students to get involved in the political process. They were able to attend political rallies and speeches about political issues. SGA President Brian Puelko talks about the success of these programs.
We've got about 50 to 60 new people to register to vote, which is, on its fringe, doesn't seem like a high number, but is really a good start for a campus such as Rider. It's been ranked 20th least politically apathetic school in the nation.
Despite this low ranking, students have become interested in the political race this semester. Puelko discusses the historical importance of voting.
It helps the democratic process. 200-something years ago, our founding fathers established a system, and the only way that the people have a way to have their voice heard is through directly electing their representatives.
I went around campus to hear why other students feel it's important to vote in this election.
Kids my age often complain about what's going on in the country, and they say, oh, well, what can I do to change this? And all they have to do is vote.
Really, who we select as our president is going to affect how our country is run for the next 4 years. And with the economy and everything, we really need to pick somebody who we think will help us.
If you don't vote, don't complain. That's how I feel.
On November 4th, United States citizens will cast their vote at designated areas in their town. Check to see where you need to go.
We'll be holding an election results party in the SRC lobby, so hopefully that'll get students out and be able to talk about the results of the election and see who won and get some analysis and insight.
Make sure to compare the candidates' views on political issues before you vote. This is Farrah Thompson for Rider Right Now.
Rider students should think about these valid points before taking part in the political process. RockTheVote.com has more information, downloads, and you can sign a pledge to vote. Now let's see what political movies Garrett recommends this week.
Thanks, Gina. Released in 2005, Syriana is a thriller about corruption and power related to the oil industry that intertwines for parallel storylines. This petroleum political film stars George Clooney, Matt Damon, and Jeffrey Wright and focuses on the global influence of the oil industry.
You want to know what the business world thinks of you? We think 100 years ago you were living out here in tents in the desert chopping each other's heads off, and that's exactly where you're going to be in another 100. So yes, on behalf of my firm, I accept your money.
In the Valley of Elah stars Tommy Lee Jones, Charlize Theron, and Susan Sarandon. This 2007 film explores the Iraq War, the abuse of prisoners, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Jones' son in the movie is killed in Iraq, but suspects a military cover-up.
I need to see his quarters. You know, if I take this.
You want the media?
Every second we lose in this investigation.
But didn't you just say that you would do whatever you were told?
I think you know what the right thing to do is.
You happen to see that soldier in here?
Yeah, they were here. You do not question the witnesses.
Figured somebody should.
Why don't you just tell me what happened?
It's complicated.
Find out why they lied.
It must be frustrating being surrounded by incompetent fools.
I'm not the only one who made a deal.
If somebody comes running at you, you kill them.
New in theaters this month is the film W, which is the latest from Oliver Stone and follows the life and presidency of George W. Bush.
I think we missed the side road. I'll never get out of Poppy's shadow. Whoever remembers the son of the president anyway?
John Quincy Adams.
That was like 300 years ago, wasn't it?
Be sure to see these or other political movies before the election day. Back to you, Gina.
Thanks, Garrett. Media is a very influential factor when it comes to politics. Here's Kristen Salvatore with more.
The media is a very influential factor when it comes to politics. I was able to catch up with a few students to see how they thought the media will affect this year's elections.
I think there's going to be a fair percentage of people who are going to pay attention to the media and use that as their final decision. I mean, you have to look at the fact that right now we have a 24-hour media cycle.
The question is, does the media have as much of an impact on politics as we think it does? And that's largely up for debate. The issue is it direct, or does everybody listen to Bill O'Reilly and his views, or Keith Olbermann and his views, or is it more indirect in that the media decide what makes the news?
One of the most powerful resources in the media is film. There have been many movies, both recent and old, that the public may take into consideration when it comes time to vote.
There have been a lot of other political movies in the past that have had a lot of influence, and they may be directly political, in like Kevin Costner's Swing Vote or something like that has direct political bearing.
A single irregular ballot is holding up a final decision for the American presidency.
So many.
One American citizen will effectively choose the next president of the United States.
Or it can be something that's a little more late, that movies like Crash, social issues that really hit at the heart of the problems we're facing as a society.
It's the sense of touch. I think we miss that touch so much that we crash into each other just so we can feel something.
I think that the best political film that I've seen was Wag the Dog, and I think that a lot of it has a lot to do with elections and what's going on. I guess currently would be a good example, and it's a very good political film, and I hope that people would be able to watch that and kind of find parallels to what's going on now.
As a liberal, as a Democrat, I couldn't be happier that W was released when it was, that Oliver Stone chose to release the movie late in the election, because it certainly does not help John McCain.
I think the movie W is a ridiculous portrayal of George Bush, and I'm not his biggest fan. I am the president of the College Republicans, but I'm not in love with the guy. I don't support him now, but I think that it's a ridiculous portrayal of the president. W shouldn't have been released now, shouldn't have been released ever, and should have been put back on the shelf.
For Writer Right Now, this has been Kristen Salvatore.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Make sure you are educated about all of the candidates for both the presidential and local race. Get your opinion heard. Go out and vote on November 4th, and make sure to tune in next week to find out what's going on at Writer Right Now. I'm your host, Gina Grasso. See you later, Ryder.
What's